Hello students, how are you all today? Okay, so today we will continue. We finished both the chapters, so we're going to start with the summary of the first chapter. I had mentioned some questions through different lessons. I hope you all have done those questions and the assignments. I want you all to revise the first chapter with me again, Evolution of Human Existence. We will discuss some questions and answers, the ones that you will write down in your notebook. Also, the second chapter's question answers that I had given you all in the last class, I had told you all solve them slowly, don't stress. Similarly, even these you will solve slowly, you will not stress. I will give you all some drawing homework today. I want you all to even understand that we will have math work and I cannot teach math work like this. I'll try my best to find a way in the next two classes. So we will start with chapter 1 summary today. I have found a I have made a light-hearted PowerPoint for this. So it's just for summary purpose, okay? To recall everything that we learned in the first week. From the beginning of time. That is tracing the beginning of human existence. So you may have seen lots of things in Flintstones, but the early man did not live during the same period in the history as dinosaurs. The dinosaurs have died about 65 million years ago, and the first human-like hominids did not appear until around 3 million years ago. So there is a vast history difference. Now, in the human history, you will come across these words. You all are already aware. We had primates, then we had hominoids, and then we had Homo and the Australopithecus. And Homo was again divided into Homo habilis, Homo erectus, and Homo sapiens. And in Homo sapiens, we have found Neanderthals and Cro-Magnons. Primates are a subgroup of a larger group of mammals. So these primates include monkeys, apes, and humans. They have body hair, and they also have a long gestation period after the birth. They have mammary glands. They have different types of teeth, and they also have the ability to maintain a constant body temperature. Very early humans, it was during this time in 5.6 million years ago that the higher mammals, that includes apes and early man, they first appeared. The higher to our ancestors or our females. There was a huge difference between ape and man. Early human-like hominids, they could stand upright, but apes could not. Even hands were different. Ape hands, they were made for climbing and clinging. But man's hand, they joined differently. And so man could make and use tools. So there were two theories about the origin of early humans: regional continuity model and replacement model. So if you look at this map, it says where did the early humans origin. You look at this picture, it says we've all we've all originated in Africa. And then from Africa, our ancestors started moving around and finally came and settled in India. So it technically means that we are all Africans under the same skin. This is according to the replacement model. But how do we know about the people who lived so many years ago? Through fossils and artifacts. Now, fossils and artifacts, what are they? Now, scientists, they use many clues. It's like detective work that helps them to put the pieces of past together. So scientists should know the difference between a fossil and an artifact. So when they find remains or ruins in these archaeological sites, if the remain is of a living thing, okay, if the remain is of a living thing, it's a fossil. So fossils normally belong to plants, animals, and people. Fossils are not the things that were made, but they are the people themselves. Artifacts, these are the remains of the things that were made. So if you find a bone or a skull, it's a fossil. But if I found a pot or a stone tool, then it becomes an artifact because this was a thing made. It's not a living thing. Okay, so artifacts are the remains of the things that were made. These are some fossils and some artifacts of the early humans. You can see some skulls. So these skulls will be fossils. And if you see the stone tools, then these stone tools are artifacts. So about 1 million years ago, the upright man, he started to slowly leave Africa. And these people who left, they started to populate the entire world. They did not need a boat. The ice age was here. So they traveled across giant walkways of frozen ice. And later, when this frozen ice started to melt, it became vast rivers and seas. The scientists have found artifacts of their tools and weapons. So these tools and weapons that we have found, they help us to understand how they lived, where they lived, and how they got there. So 40,000 years ago to present, we can find this kind of fossils or artifacts at such places. So in this map, you can see different pinpoints are there. So in Africa, we have found fossils and artifacts that date back to 5 to 1 million years ago. In Australia, we have found only 45,000 years ago. Okay, and in other parts of the world, we have found up to 40,000 years ago till present. How did these people obtain food? The early human would have obtained food through a number of ways, such as gathering, hunting, scavenging, and fishing. Now, gathering would involve collecting plant food and such as seeds, nuts, berries, fruits, and tubers. Hunting probably began a little later, okay, about 500,000 years ago, the clear evidence for the deliberate and planned hunting comes from two sites. We had spoken about this: Box Grove in England and Schonningen in Germany. Fishing was also important, as it is evident from the discovery of fish bones that we have found at so many different archaeological sites. How did the early humans live? The large stone boulder was used to support the sides of the open hut. It even had a hearth which had several advantages. And they also had a rod, that means there was some fire which provided warmth and light inside the hut. And this fire would also be used for cooking. And fire was also used for flaking of tools. And it also used to scare some dangerous animals. This is a reconstructed hut of Terra Amata. The tools that the early humans used, the earliest evidence for making and using stone tools come from the sites of Ethiopia and Kenya. It is likely that the earliest tool makers were Australopithecus. These tools were found in Olduvia. You can see the pictures. The first one is a chopper. It's a large stone from which flakes have been removed to produce a working wedge. The second is a hand axe. About 35,000 years ago, improvement in techniques for killing animals are evident from the appearance of new kinds of tools. We found new kinds of tools. We found spear throwers and bow and arrow. So we knew that an advancement in the technology had come. The meat obtained was probably processed by removing the bones. And then probably there was followed by drying, smoking, and then storage also. Now they could even store food for later consumption. These are some images of some stone tools by early humans. Among living beings, it is human alone that has a language. There are some views, different views on language development. It is assumed that the hominid language involved gestures or hand movements, and also that the spoken language was preceded by vocal but non-verbal, means we would not speak. It was preceded by non-verbal communication like singing and humming. So when did spoken language really emerge? It is being suggested that the brain of the Homo habilis had certain features which would have made it possible for them to speak. So we can say that the language may have been developed as early as 2 million years ago. And so we had an evolution of the vocal tract. There's also another suggestion that language must have developed at the same time as the art developed. That is around 40 to 35,000 years ago. So there are three opinions of when was the language developed. hundreds of cave paintings of animals have been discovered. And they have been discovered in the caves of LesAux and Chauvet. They are both in France and Altamira in Spain. So these include depiction of bisons, horses, ibex, deer, mammoths, rhinos, lions, bears, panthers, hyenas, and owls. So all these pictures we have found in some cave paintings. What was, what would have been the purpose behind these cave paintings? Well, there are many explanations. Even if I ask you all today, you all will give me another explanation. You will all think by your own. You will all think differently. So one of the suggestion is because of the importance of hunting, probably the painting of animals was associated with ritual and magic. It, People are suggesting that just maybe there could be a superstition or a belief or a ritual that when you paint an animal, it'll be easier for you to hunt it. So the act of painting could have been a ritual to ensure a successful hunt. There is another explanation that probably these caves were a meeting place for small group of people. And then the paintings, it served as a medium of passing information from one generation to other. So probably there's another suggestion that these caves were probably meeting points. So all hunters gathered there, or all the people living in the same area, like a community hall or something, that everyone came together, and drawing or painting on the wall was a medium to communicate with them, to present their idea, or to tell them about what they have found, something like that. Like we have projection nowadays, probably they used the cave paintings those days. So we can easily conclude that for several million years, humans lived by hunting wild animals and gathering wild plants. Then between 10,000 and 4,500 years ago, people in different parts of the world learned to domesticate certain plants and animals. They learned that they could domesticate them, train them, or probably they could grow the animal, grow the plant, and they could train the animal. So this led to the development of farming and pastoralism as a way of life. So farming and pastoralism, that is making the animals graze, these two became two different ways of life. The shift from foraging to farming was a major turning point in history. This shift that now they could domesticate plants and animals, and it became a way of their life. This was a major shift in, was a major turning point in history, because now people started to live in the same place for longer instead of being nomadic and traveling from one place to another. If they would sow the crop, then they would wait for the crop to grow, then eat. And if they were going to live so long at some place, they would build structures to live there. Okay. Now, these are your question answers. I want you all to write these answers. Explain the meaning of fossil. Explain the meaning of fossil and give proper example of it. Name various places from where fossils of species can be dated directly or indirectly. Differentiate the terms hominoid, hominid, and hominoid. Define Australopithecus and Homo erectus. And differentiate between Homo heidelbergensis from Homo neanderthalensis. Okay, so you will do these question answers. These are the long answers. Discuss the ways of obtaining food of early humans. How did the tools accumulate in one place? Explain. When and how did spoken language develop? Discuss the development of skull size and distinctive jaws associated with the tool making of early human, and the development of spoken language has been seen as closely connected with art, since both are a media for communication. Evaluate this statement. The development of spoken language has been seen as closely connected with art, since both are media for communication. Okay. Besides this, we had also learned, besides this, we had also learned which are the sources to understand the human history. We had seen how was Neanderthal skull discovered. We even saw the story of human evolution. And you all had seen the positive feedback mechanism. We learned about the replacement and regional continuity model theories. We saw how the early humans obtained their food. How did the early humans live? We saw how did they make their tools. We had also discussed the mode of communication, that is language. And we also saw about the mode of communication, that is art. Then we had seen the hunter-gatherer societies, and we spoke about the one that is currently, we still have a few hunter-gatherer societies today. And we discussed if studying them would help us in understanding how the old hunter-gatherer societies have lived. And then we had seen the developments between 10,000 and 4,500 BCE in the early human life. You all had also seen some timelines. You all had also seen some timelines. So basically, there are 4 phases of evolution: apes, then Australopithecus, then Homo erectus, and then Homo sapiens. Okay. So we're almost at the end of our first class. Okay, there are some diagrams that I want you all to do. I had told you all about that. I'll just show you all those. So this is places of evolution. So whether everything was originated in one place, that is Africa, in that case, it would be replacement model, or it's a regional continuity model, so that the Africans, Asians, and Europeans, they all look different from each other. So did we all originate in different regions? or did we all originate in Africa and then migrate to different regions? This is the difference in the places of evolution, the two theories. Then there are social factors. So we talked about food and shelter. We spoke about the economic factors and how the lifestyle changed from hunting, gathering, and foraging to learning to domesticate animals, and finally towards agriculture and pastoralism. Then around 10,000 and 4,000 years ago, we saw about the cultural factors. You all also saw how language and art developed. These are the sources for the positive feedback mechanism. The 2 points of view of present hunters and gatherers. And these are some 10-mark questions that you all should start looking for answers. You all you're not writing it right now, but I will make you all write them down in the later. How do anthropologists feel that the information about living hunter and gatherers can be used to study past life and give appropriate examples and explain the similarities and the dissimilarities between the early human and the modern human. These are some questions that are already there in your textbook, so you all can go and see it. This is the map work that I have to make you all do. Okay. So these are the timelines that I want you all to draw. So you all can pause the screen. You all can pause the screen and draw it. I'm just going to stop everywhere for five minutes, for half a minute, and you all are going to pause the video and draw it. These are the notes you all can write if you all want from here, but I would prefer you write it on your own so that you'll be able to understand them better. All the diagrams, I'm stopping over there because I want you all to do the diagrams. The shift in the economic factors happened between 10,000 and 4,500 years ago.